Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Marvin Jenkins, and I'm the coordinator for the Women's Business Center for Maryland Capital Enterprises. And we are a nonprofit organization, and we assist women entrepreneurs who are either starting a new business or expanding their existing business. We service the Eastern Shore of Maryland, plus Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Anne Arundel County. And we offer a lot of educational programs, workshops like the one you're on tonight, one-on-one counseling, consulting, as well as we do have a business loan assistance. Well, we actually offer capital financing for businesses. So we have two offices, one in Salisbury, Maryland, and one in Baltimore. I put our website link in the chat so that you can see that. But at the same time, I will be sending this recording out to everyone, so you'll have our contact information. And like I say, we do offer loan assistance, and with that, you can either contact me, or if you go to our website, there's a place where there's a client intake form, and if you're interested in finding out a lot of the information, fill out that client intake form. It's really not a lot of personal. It's a little bit of personal information. We have to do it because we're affiliated with the SBA, but we don't do anything with the information. So if you fill that out, somebody will contact you, and we can talk about financing, talk about business plans, talk about pretty much anything business related that you want to. Now, today's webinar, how to obtain grants for your child care center. We will get started with that, and I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Amy Stewart, who is the owner of the Night Watch Child Care Center. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Amy and let her get started.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So I have been affiliated with Maryland Capital Enterprises since 2020 when I first opened my business, and I was there. They do an Entrepreneur of the Year award, and in 2020 we were the runner-up, and I came back the next year and we won it as the Entrepreneur of the Year. And it was great to be recognized in something that wasn't education. I was standing toe-to-toe with I think one lady does like drug testing for Department of Transportation, and I don't remember what the other business was, but it was just nice to kind of be recognized outside of the education field of having this innovative business. So just a little bit about Night Watch. That's what the name is. We are an evening overnight center in Maryland. We're the only commercial evening overnight center in Maryland. There are some folks that do it in their homes, and that's beautiful, but we have a whole center. And our theme is nighttime animals, so like owls and possums and stuff like that. And we really try to incorporate a lot of nature into our center. We also are a therapeutic child care center. We're the only therapeutic child care center on the Eastern Shore, and we specialize in helping children with emotional needs, nonverbal autism, oppositional defiant, an array of other behavioral needs. So we have a music therapist that comes in once a week, and we're going to be partnering up with a play therapist. And I share all that information because you'll kind of see where I've been able to either apply for grant funding or kind of venture outside of the education bubble, and also come up with some other ways to generate revenue besides raising tuition. The vast majority of my clients are single moms who are working shift work. And so the last thing I want to do is raise prices. I don't want to be giving them all these fees. People can run their business how they want to run a business. But as for me and my house, we try to keep things affordable because I try to be smart about other places we can generate funds. So if you have any questions in the meantime, go ahead and drop it in there. And I think Mr. Marvin's going to just kind of pop in there and help out. But also when he says become a client, even if you're like, I'm not even ready for a loan, just become a client because you'll get access to all these free trainings. Every time things are coming down the pipe, whether it's from the bank, they did a whole series last summer with Truist Bank on different types of bank accounts and business credit and all of these things that they're not teaching you from MSDE. You're not getting that in your director training, or when you open your business, they're about ratios and regulations. This is giving you all of the business stuff that we're not learning in our just typical professional development. So, and they're free. use them. Like I said, even if you're not ready for funding, go in and start making that relationship with them. And then I get linked up with all these different industries where I have a connect at Truist Bank. I have a connect when it's time for us to expand. I've got somebody directly I can get counseled for free, and they can help me get my stuff ready for the big banks when I want to go ask for $500,000 for a new center. All right, so this is definitely a great place to start. So anyway, so I'll go ahead and share my screen. And okay, all right. So as I talk about this, I don't want you to think that any of this is short term. Grants, the big ones, is the long game. You may miss a couple deadlines or realize you're in the full throes of an application and realize that you need things that you don't have this year. I don't want you to get discouraged. Put it on your calendar for next year. And as you go through these grants and as you start thinking like a big CEO, and I'm even talking to those of you that have a home daycare center. If you have it in your heart to serve hundreds of families in your community, I want you to be thinking about that now before the money even comes. And so the types of grants I like to run after are the big God-sized things where it may take a couple of $1 million or maybe even $1 billion at some point to do what I want to do for our youth and families. Us being an evening overnight center, we can keep you from 6 weeks until you're 12. And we have some families that have been rocking with us for 6, 7 years. Almost, they become like family. So I am very passionate about finding money to help grow with them and help just all the needs that they have. But I don't want anybody thinking this is something you can do in 30 days, in my experience. So the big stuff that we're going to be talking about is unlocking just different funding opportunities to solve specific problems. When you're just saying, well, I need money for operating expenses or wages, that's going to be more of like a grant, a loan type program where you're looking for those operating expenses. And we're going to talk about a micro grant funding opportunity that came out from the state. That's also, if it's coming from, the comptroller or something like that, that may also be for operating expenses. Grants are typically to solve a very specific problem, not just running your business. So that's something to be thinking about. I have people ask me a lot, oh, Amy, I want to expand. Amy, I want to start a business. Where do I apply for grants? And in my experience, grants are not the answer to your problem right now. You need a loan. You need to get in front of somebody to get you some capital. So that's a different conversation. Developing niche services. So if you remember when I gave my example, talked about Night Watch, we provide childcare for second and third shift workers. We are a therapeutic childcare center where we offer those mental health services. So we have begun to niche down in our daycare services, and that opens us up to other funding opportunities. Building partnerships, I'm going to get into that. This is where the long game comes in. And I know with the day-to-day, you're maybe thinking, Amy, I run a home daycare center. I'm by myself. I don't have time for partnerships. This has to be a priority. And even just signing up with Maryland Capital Enterprises and getting on their email list and getting the recordings to the trainings later, that's still building a partnership because you're getting those contacts, even if you're watching it later. Exploring diverse grants. This is where we start stepping into that CEO mindset of what else can we be doing besides providing childcare services. And I'll talk about some things that we're doing at Night Watch to help us diverse the type of funding we can go after. Network strategically. I have to get outside of my education bubble. I taught public school for almost 15 years, and then I transitioned into opening my childcare center. And not everybody that I meet or that I want to meet is in the education bubble. Like, I'm very much like, where else can we be making network connections? I'll talk a little bit later. I serve on a couple committees in my city that were just volunteer positions. And so that I get to sit on these calls, I get to go to these meetings, I get to meet with important people that run our city, but it's strategic networking. So sure, I could go to the little happy hour with the other daycare providers. That's totally fine. But I want to go to the meeting where the superintendent's going to be speaking. I want to go where my city council representative, there's somebody from the city there, and I'm meeting them. And after a couple meetings, they know me my name, they know my first name, we have an email. I have now a contact of somebody I can call on the city council if we have questions. And then applying persistently. Just keep applying. Even if you think you're going to miss the date, just get the ideas down and start the process. Because I promise, once you get real clear on your vision, you're going to see so many funding opportunities for your niche that it's going to be fine. Like, I want you to think about it like just like a river. One log goes by and there's going to be another one. Just keep going at it. And that also helps with the waiting game. You apply for a grant, you might not hear anything back. I applied for a grant back in, where are we at? Maybe June. They're not going to say anything to me, I think, until December, and I won't see a penny of that until next summer. So I don't want to just sit around, right? I'm going to keep applying for other opportunities. Okay, so I want you to be thinking about a very specific problem that you want to address, because typically grant funding is, the purpose of a grant is to solve a problem. And so if you can get real clear on the problem you want to solve, we have shift work, and we provide those mental health services. There might be something where with like bilingual education, there might be, and I'll get into a little bit more, if you're trying to help parents get jobs, you know, and you're in your area, let's say you live near a factory, it might make sense for your business to open at 4 a.m. I understand nobody wants to get up at 4 a.m. But if you're finding that there's a business in the area, they're struggling to keep staff because they start at 4, parents can't get the daycare till 6 or 7, you know, and this is all where you start with those network connections and kind of keeping an ear on like, what does the community need? That's going to help you identify other problems, as well as taking a look at like your parents, your daycare parents. What are some things you're noticing? Well, we noticed in the first couple of years, I was having parents come to me and saying, hey, my kid is really aggressive, or I'm noticing some language delays. And then they'd ask their pediatrician, and their pediatrician was just, oh, it's fine, or, oh, just give him some medication. And that really wasn't the vibe for my parents. That's not what they wanted. So we started making connections with some mental health facilities in the area, different clinics, to get some partnerships where we have their literature in our lobby. And then also we have what's it called, a memorandum of understanding, an MOU, that we have something in writing saying that if they have parents that could utilize our service, we're on a list, they have our flyer, and they can come to us, and vice versa. But that didn't happen overnight. It wasn't like I just cold called somebody and asked for that. Those were those strategic partnerships. But those are things that I was hearing from my parents, that their kids were having behavior problems. I had one that kept climbing out of the car seat and trying to punch mom while she's driving. Like, that's a severe behavior. And the pediatrician is saying, oh, it's fine. So parents coming to us with this need and saying, okay, we need to provide some type of service. And that really kind of led us down this road over the last few years to become this therapeutic childcare center. So just be thinking about some things that you see with your families that maybe you could work into your business. And like I said, we want to avoid the business expenses. That's going to be a loan. That's your capital. And then just really putting an ear into your families and, you know, the community, young families, things like that. So we have, I guess I would say, a special needs daycare where we custom all of our professional development for behavior. These are the specialists we have in, even our blogs that we have for our parents, all kind of tied to all of this. We offer parenting coaching. So those are all things that we have been able to utilize. And so we were able to get a grant from MSDE to become a therapeutic childcare center last year. And we're a for-profit business. It initially was for nonprofits, but you know what? I sent an email in anyway, because I thought, what are they going to say? No. So initially they said no, and a couple months later they emailed and said, go on and apply. And we were able to get $246,000 for the year. That was able to bring in more staff, more training, every sensory toy. We were able to have this beautiful sensory garden out back. But this was all leading up, all of these partnerships, all of this noticing it was a problem. So when it came to creating this plan for our therapeutic childcare center, it was kind of a no-brainer. It was things we're already doing and we were able to enhance. Another one might be bilingual support programs. So in my daycare center, for instance, we have 2 staff that both speak fluent Spanish. One doesn't really speak English that well, so she just speaks Spanish to the children, and we love it. We also have a lot of Haitian Creole speaking children. Probably a third of our kids are, and I would love to hire somebody for that. But if you're offering that as a service, right, that's a niche service that you could possibly find some grant money from. Internships, programs for youth. So I think at 14, you can start having kids come as volunteers at a daycare center. And then at 16, you can go in and hire them. So there's internships, but there's also apprenticeships. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. So Night Watch is also a registered apprenticeship program with the state. I had a not a grant navigator, I'm sorry, an apprenticeship navigator. She came to one of these meetings that I went to through the Chamber of Commerce, and I've never seen her again at a meeting. She was there one time. I got her business card, and her name is Alicia, and she was fantastic. And because there already is kind of a framework for somebody to get their CDA, their child development associate, and that's a nationally recognized certificate. I really didn't have to do much other than fill out paperwork. And she really helped me with a lot of that. So which means now we can take apprenticeships and they can go through our program. Apprenticeships are not free labor. Apprenticeships, you do have to pay a wage, and they do tell you how much you got to pay, and you have to step them up as they go through the program, which of course is fine. We can pay people. That's not a problem. But that is now workforce development money I can start looking at, where most of us, many of you guys found me on Tuesday Tidbits. I love that email because there's always money in there. That's where I found the therapeutic childcare grant. But now I also subscribe to all this stuff from the Department of Labor. Why? Because we're an apprenticeship program. That's now a whole other avenue that I can start looking for money. And even if you're a home daycare center, I'd look into it, because if you have all your credentials to be a teacher, you could have an apprentice come work with you and pay them. They can get their CDA. But having that navigator through the Department of Labor is like, I really didn't have to do much other than just, like I said, little bit of paperwork, and show up for the hearing. And they didn't have any questions, and they approved it. So we've been one for about a month. So we're going to start looking for some new apprentices. But again, that's a whole other department from the state that you can start looking for money for. And then parent support services. So another service that we're going to be offering is, I told you, our mascots are nighttime animals. So we're going to be having an Owl's Nest Learning Hub. And what this is going to be is that parents can come during the day when we're closed, but we're looking to maybe doing it on Saturday and Sunday evenings, where they can come for 2 hours, pay $9. They get to use the computer. They can get a cup of coffee. And then we do something with their kids just right on the other side of the center. So it's not necessarily daycare, but it's just a way that parents can come. Their kids can play, they can use our equipment and things like that inside the center, but then also be able to have this study time for themselves. And that is a need that we saw with a lot of our parents. A lot of my moms are going back to school to be nurses. So for them to be able to have this just kind of uninterrupted time where their kids are kind of taken care of, and it's just a 2-hour block. It's not work. It's just, they're just going to get some homework done. That is something we're looking into. And I've applied for some grants for that program. So just kind of thinking about other ways you can serve your parents. So building partnerships. And if you're a one-woman show, I know that this sounds like, Amy, what are you talking about? I don't have time to do that. But it is, if you're looking to get grants, these partnerships are extremely important. The Judy Center is one. When I applied for the therapeutic childcare grant, that was a big question. How do you coordinate with your Judy Center? And I was like, my who? And I had heard of them before, but I had to send out an email, and I had to hop on a Zoom, and I had to kind of find out well, what can we do to be supportive? What type of resources can we give to our parents and vice versa? And the lady that runs our Judy Center I love talking with her, and I'm just really excited about doing some things with her. But again, it can't be a cold call. This is something you have to nurture, get on that email list, pop into something, pop into a Zoom, pop into a Mixer, just something. Because they're gonna, especially if it's an MSD, early childhood type of grant, they're gonna want to see that you have communicate, or you have some type of a relationship with the Judy Center. The school districts. Now, again, I'm evening overnight, so I do have a lot of school age kids, and many of you might just have little ones and might think, oh, why do I need to be involved with the school districts? Because you never know what type of service might come down the line that you guys could partner up with. After school program, before and after school program, sometimes that's the bread and butter. That can be the difference between, or that could be the extra money that's going to help you get to that next place. And if you have, an in with the learning support staff or the guidance counselors, they work, especially the elementary schools, they work a lot with the families, and a lot of those families have littles. So I've had, a couple of elementary schools reach out to us a couple of times asking us if we had care or, space available, because they were working with other parents. So those school age kids have siblings. And even at the high school level, some of the high school kids have kids. And so being able to tap in, even with a high school guidance counselor, to be able to support a young mom who's still trying to finish school, and just so they know if you have openings and things like that. And then community centers, this could be It can be like a brick and mortar, but it also can be different organizations. I'll use the NAACP as an example. They have, at least the one in our area, we have an education committee. So even if it's not like a city run or a county run organization, there might be some of like private organizations that do really like boot and rally for families. They might be somebody you want to reach out with and join. All right, so exploring diverse grant opportunities. So the very beginning, when I said something about like dream really big, like don't worry about the price tag, just like get all the ideas down. When it's as big as you want it to be, what is it gonna look like? And so when I think about Night Watch and what I want it to look like, I want it to be where we stick with those families for 12 years. I want to be able to offer them that support system that I often hear single moms don't have. They say they don't have a village. They say that their parents aren't there to help babysit, or the dad isn't involved, or like whatever it is, that mom feels like she doesn't have a support system. Night Watch wants to be that answer. And genuinely, I'm not looking to make money off these moms, because remember at the very beginning, I don't want to raise tuition. Right. So I do participate in Excels. We do get childcare vouchers. Whatever we can do to try not to have parents pay for anything is really my goal. So when I think about I want to make sure that they can have access to higher paying jobs. So if that means that they're working later to get that overnight differential, or if they need time to go to school and they're taking evening classes, or even if they're taking online classes, if they're taking online classes from a university or like a community college, and they can provide evidence of it, they can get childcare scholarships as well, even if they're going online. It doesn't count for like study time, but it does count for their actual like time in school. So if I'm thinking about that, how I can help my daycare moms get like more money, that can be community building, where we're creating this learning hub that can kind of reduce some of the barriers that a lot of single moms are saying. I don't have the time, I'm working, I'm running here everywhere. All my money goes to my kids. I don't have a computer. So many of my moms don't have computers. They're trying to do everything on their phone. Just little things like that, where if we offered 2 hours, a 2-hour block, that could be the difference between somebody going back to school and not, and because feeling like they have consistent support from us. Urban development. I think if you're talking about maybe like growing your center and having a whole nother, like just adding a whole nother business to the area, there might be some urban development money. So when you're looking at things like the comptroller or the Department of Labor or just the state of Maryland in general, like I really would come around that website a lot and really look, like search for funding, search for grant funding. I would even consider like paying attention to laws that are being passed when it comes to funding. I got an email the other day that there's a federal law that they've introduced that is for creating apprenticeship programs in childcare centers, like the same month that we got our apprenticeship. So, but I wouldn't know that if I wasn't watching these things. So I subscribe to a lot of emails because I want to know where all the money is. And because I'm so clear on the vision that I have for my company, I'm able to start connecting the dots, even if it's like, oh, why are you opening an email from Congress? Oh, because I just happen to see there's a bill in here that if I keep following it, and now I'm going to reach out to my Maryland delegates and say, hey, please vote for this. Like, if there's anything you need for any information, any insight, I'd love to have it. Just a new way of looking things, going from just being but being a classroom teacher to that CEO, CFO, mindset with your business. And then the last one, workforce development. I think I beat that with a dead horse. Like where, we've been able to apply for grants for profit. And some of you guys I saw were nonprofit. If you're a nonprofit, run, because some of them, like the majority of them, are not for a for-profit business. However, consider having like a sister nonprofit. That might be something you want to get into. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a legal expert. That's just in my experience. We've been able to apply for some things with our nonprofit that can help the same population. Now, I'm not putting money from the nonprofit into the profit. That's not what's happening. But if I can find money to pay for these moms to go back to school and get their CDAs, I don't get money for that. That's for mom. If we can find money to maybe buy a van to help get some of our moms to work, that's what I mean. That's community stuff. That's not Night Watch stuff. So just whatever we can do to help our parents. Then we have the network. And again, when you are clear on the vision, you start to realize the types of people you need in your space. And so I don't just go to any local business events, or if I do go to something that's kind of big, like I'm always looking for like a money person. I'm looking for banks. I'm looking for CPAs. I'm looking for bookkeepers. I'm looking for people to help with our grants, like grant monitors, like the people that will kind of help you kind of keep all your paperwork throughout the year, because I know that that's where we're headed, and I want those types of experts around me. Insurance, that's usually when I go, so you may think, oh, it's not education, it's just a business conference. But these are the types of people that you'll see at these events, and their information is very valuable. And as you grow your business and you start having money to start delegating some of that stuff off, you want a professional. I get it, when you first start, you want to save money, but there are just some things, if you don't spend the money on it, are going to cost you so much. And playing with your money is not one of them. We don't want to do that. We want to be able to make our money and help it make more money for us. So the other one is university workshops. So I live in Salisbury, and so I'm right here by Salisbury University. And I also went to the University of Maryland Eastern Shore for my grad school. Both of those have entrepreneur centers. So even if you did not go to those schools and you're near a state school in Maryland, call up their business and see their business department and see if they have an entrepreneur center. Mine, and I'm just on the Eastern Shore, so I'm sure if you live closer to the city, you have, maybe more resources, but ours both have maker spaces in their own right, as in like they can help you print out a couple of promotional t-shirts. The one at UMES, you can make promotional cookies. They can help with logos and websites and getting your business plan together. The one at UMES, they have some AI business plan writing software that you can just punch in a couple of things and it'll make it for you, and it doesn't cost anything, and you don't have to be a student or an alumni. Not to say they don't have some things that are just for the kids, but a lot of that stuff, I believe, is kind of partnering up with some SBA money, and so that they open it up to the community, and they do want community members to come. So even if you didn't attend that university, just call them and see. The one in Salisbury has a beautiful downtown workspace. And sometimes I just go and just use their co-working space. I don't need a printer. I don't need a 3D printer. I don't need any of that. I just want some space to work sometimes. And so I can use that. But they also offer workshops. And sometimes they offer like pitch competitions. So the one at Salisbury University, they have one called the Shore Hatchery, and they just had their due date, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago. So I applied for our Owl's Nest Learning Hub to purchase computers and to pay some staff to come, even to have like a career coach should the parents need it. And I think like you could ask for up to $50,000, and I don't think they had any like price matching with that, because it was just like a competition. But I had to turn in like financials, I had to turn in a business plan. So definitely wasn't something that I could just like do in an evening. It's something that I did work over, probably 2 weeks, just to make sure I had everything. Because you don't want to turn in, you can turn the application in wrong in my experience, but you don't want to turn it in complete or late. If it's incomplete or late, they're definitely gonna throw it out. But if you turn it in wrong, they might let you fix it. So, and when you do things ahead of time, ask questions, hop on the interest meetings. And even if you just signed up, like people, excuse me, sign up just like people did tonight, you're most likely gonna get a recording. But anyway, with the Shore Hatchery, they do it every year. And like I said, I'm an alumni, but it's open to the community. And then I think they're going to let me know maybe in the next 2 weeks if I'm going to go to the next round. And I think then they have a competition, and it's like a whole thing. And then you get awarded with your money. And I've seen one year this girl made like a tool for like crab picking, but it had like a fork and a knife and like all these other things on it, and like she won, like she got a bunch of money to like get it started. Well, she got some money of it. I remember hers anyway. So they have all different types of things. So but like, get in there. What's the worst they say is no, and it's, can always apply next year. And in the Chamber of Commerce meeting, so I have this on here. I am not a member of the Chamber of Commerce. In my experience, it was not worth the money, but they have in our area, they have a Salisbury area Chamber of Commerce education network, and they meet every month on a Tuesday, like 8 o'clock in the morning. And like the district attorney's been there and gave a talk. They've had people come all the way down from Annapolis to talk to us about stuff. That's where I met the lady about the apprenticeship navigation. And it's run by like the assistant superintendent of schools. And so, you know, every month I'm going in and hey, I'm Dr. Amy from Night Watch. And like, you know, this is another way to like build those connections. They're going to remember who I am. They're going to know what we're doing. And it was full of like amazing, like all these resources, because they bring together educators, nonprofits, small businesses. And there's a couple businesses in there that also have apprenticeship programs. So it's just another way to kind of get outside of your education bubble. But I don't know if they have those everywhere. If not, I'd ask about maybe starting one in your area. That's probably my favorite meeting that I go to. It's highly valuable. And even if I can't go, I still get the minutes. And that's what I want, because if you remember at the beginning, I'm very nosy and I want to know what's going on and who's talking and what all is going on and how can I get involved. Okay. So apply persistently. When I tell you this is about the long game, this is about tough skin, this is about getting very clear on the vision that you have for your business, for your calling on your life, like whatever it is that brought you here, that made you want to work with kids and families, that made you want to expand. I saw people in the chat, there were some that want to open a new one, they want to open one in general. Like it is the long game. And so we want to constantly be applying. And like I said earlier, some of these grants are not, if you can fill it out in less than 15 minutes, I want you to be thinking of like, there's probably like a million other people that have also applied for it. I like to think about grants like if you're going to the mall. All right. So like, I don't even know if they have a mall near you anymore. They're dying breed. But back in my day, we used to have malls and they had department stores, right? You had your Hex and your Macy's and Penny's, right? But you also had like these little kiosks, right? The little lip gloss or whatever, the girl trying to put the salt on your hands and like grab you and all that in the middle of the mall. Then you, excuse me. Then you had your stores like, they were a little more niche. You had like your Bath and Body Works and your Victoria's Secret and stuff like that, right? And then you had your big department stores. And I want you to be thinking about grants kind of like those stores. Like you have your little quick and easy access kiosks that anybody can apply for. So these are like your Walmart grants, your Target grants that like, yeah, I'm not saying don't go after them, but I want you to see what you're kind of up against. And do this as an exercise. I'm not saying don't do them and they're not going to take very long. But you know, if you're looking for the $250,000 grants, we'll get to that part of them all. Then we have like the niched stores. And I want you to be thinking about the vulnerable population or the problem that you want to solve. So I have mentioned mental health. I also have mentioned workforce development. So I just want to go into the stores that's about workforce development and mental health. Those are really the ones that I want to look at. So I'm not looking into like veterans. Some of you may think, oh, you know what? If I could hire a couple of veterans, you know, like that's money you could go after. VA workforce, like that is definitely money. Or maybe you want to have some senior citizens come and work part-time at your center. You know, my mother's 65, like she's getting senior citizen discount, but she's very active. My stepdad's 67. He does stagehand for concerts. So he's whipping around on like forklifts and stuff. So like this new breed of 60, like they'd be fine if they would maybe work. But that's another story you could go into, right? You could go into there and see if there's money for, you know, having senior citizens work with you. And like I said, even if it's just part-time, they come in, help during nap time, help, you know, relieve people, give some people some breaks. So those types of stores. Then like your big department stores, right? That you could go in there and get everything you need. You don't have to go to 5 different stores. You can go into Macy's and get everything you need in that one store. But I want you to think about Macy's, like they want you to use their credit card. You have to apply, you know, it's very, very specific, all the things you need to do to be able to even shop at that store. And so those bigger grants, just know that they're going to take a lot longer. You're going to need a lot of like network connections. You're going to need to have that plan. What are you going to do with it? You may have to have price matching. It might be a reimbursed grant. So that $246,000 grant that we got, it was reimbursed, which means I had to spend all that money first and then wait months and months to get my check. And now it's worth it. Don't get me wrong. When I get a $50,000 extra check every month, like that, like, thank you, Jesus. but it took some time. So I just want you to be thinking about like those are your different stages of grants, but keep applying and keep track of them. And I'm gonna tell you how I keep track of mine. I literally just make an event in my calendar. I put the due date. I also put when it opens. So this one in particular, and this is the reason why I showed this one, is because this is one, if you have a center that's making at least $50,000 a year, I want you to pay attention to this link. This is a micro business boost. Even if you don't have that kind of money, still take a look at it, because if they do it once, who says they won't do it again? But I always put the link in here. I put the due date, and then I put maybe like a week or two before it's due. So I put it on my calendar a couple times, and I do that for every grant. It just kind of keeps it all in one place. It helps me so I don't forget. But I also, I put them on my calendar, but that doesn't mean I'm applying for everything. I'm not going to overwhelm myself, but just constantly be working on something. And I don't want you to think because you have to wait so long that it's not worth it. It's patience. We're building patience in all of this, right? We are we're building our vision. We're making all those connections. There's so many things that need to take place before you even get money. And I know sometimes we think, oh no, I need the money now. I promise you, all this other stuff you can start doing right now, and it doesn't cost you a penny. So anyway, I happen to be on this email list for development, housing, and community development. And you may think, Amy, you're just a daycare provider. Why are you on that? Because they give out money. I am part of the community. I am actually part of the infrastructure. Many of you as daycare owners, like, I know we didn't close during COVID. Like we were right open. We got our temporal thermometer like we're supposed to, and our hand sanitizer, and our gloves and masks, and we were open. So, but I stay on this email also. So this one opened on the 23rd. And they are having micro grants from $20,000 to $50,000. They have a map of sustainable community areas. I clicked on that, and we're in that area. There was another grant that came out a few weeks ago that they have been posting on Tuesday Tidbits that I wasn't in the area for. So it was great. I had it on the calendar. I was excited to look at the application, but I didn't get it. And that's okay. I wasn't in the I wasn't in the right area. I didn't get discouraged. I moved on to the next thing. And so now I'm working on this one. And I do meet a lot of these, and I'm going to apply because it doesn't cost me anything to apply. But I think the due date is the 15th. I was just looking at this yesterday. I don't see the due date on here, but you can just make a little, is it on this one? So yeah, you have to have an annual revenue greater than 50,000. But again, even if not, just pay attention to it, because who knows, next year you might be in this category or when they do this stuff again. But you have to have matching. So when I'm asking for, I need to make sure that I can show that I also can match it. So this one, I don't know if it's reimbursed. I feel like a lot of stuff from the state is reimbursed, but I'll find that out when I turn everything in. But again, it didn't come from MSDE. It came from housing or community development. And then I regularly attend different interest meetings. Even if I can't go, again, I sign up for it. I listen to the recording. If you guys ever use Otter, that Otter, AIOTTER, you might see it, and there might be some Otters in here tonight. I don't know, in the meeting, because if it's attached to your calendar, your Google Calendar, it will attend meetings for you and record it. And typically when it's just kind of like free trainings, free interest meetings, like I've never really had an issue of somebody saying that it couldn't be recorded. But I get all the information later. So getting the recordings, getting the information, at least finding out, like just staying on the email list to get any type of updates. And then also those government websites, getting on there. If they have a newsletter, get on it. I know we already get a lot of junk, but you could have like tens of thousands of dollars sitting in your junk mail. And as time goes on, your applications are going to get better. All right. Use things like ChatGPT. I use them. And typically what I do is I take a look at whatever the grant is, and I use Otter and I talk it out. And I think about, okay, this is what I would do with all this money. This is the population I want to help. And this is this, and these are the people I need, and job descriptions. I tell Otter all of it. Then I take that and then I move that over into ChatGPT, which is AI. And it will like kind of put all my thoughts into an outline. And I kind of use that to help me with my applications. So I don't feel like I'm overwhelmed, or I'm going to forget these awesome ideas that God gives me. I just kind of keep track of it. And when it's time for my application, I'm ready to go. Yep. Okay. Do I want to do that here? Yes. Okay. All right. So for the, maybe do I? I'll talk about it here. Okay. So as you improve your applications over time and you get very clear on your vision, so yes, I have a $500,000 plan and I have a $500,000 budget kind of hiding in my my Google Drive somewhere, but I also can spend $25. That's going to make that happen. It's going to move us towards our goal. On those Tuesday tidbits, I've made all kinds of money from little surveys and little free this and free that. And I get my staff to sign up for them, and they're free classes. And sometimes I've gotten up to $50 and they just send me a check. But I know what I'm going to do with that $50, whether it's buying more sensory toys, or we're going to buy more stuff for our garden outside. We're going to buy some potatoes and yams and things like that and have an interactive garden where the kids go out there and play and get messy. So it helps me scale, but then also things like Shore Hatchery. Shore Hatchery was $50,000. So I don't want to just say, oh, it's only $25, or oh, it's only $500. The childcare company, if any of you guys use them, we love the childcare company. They do professional development, and we love them. And she gives away $500 every quarter through her nonprofit, and we were able to get at the first time she did it. And it was to buy because we're evening overnight, right? So we have like an outside garden, so the kids can go down, still go outside around dusk or so. So we got all these like little solar lights and little things that kids can touch and stuff, but it was $500. And so I was ready. Somebody want to give me $500? I'm not stalling around. I have a wish list. Here you go. Somebody wants to give me $35 gift card for filling out a survey? Great. I got a $35 Amazon wish list. Somebody wants to give me $250,000? Great. I got a budget for that too. So it's going to help you feel control over all of these different phases of your business. Okay. So as you plan your grant strategy, again, this is long-term, long game. Identify that specific community problem. So identifying that vulnerable need, whether it's with your families, or if you do see some other vulnerable populations in your area, like senior citizens, like vets, and you're thinking, you know what, I really have like a passion on my heart for this group of people. How can I incorporate that into my business? You can do that. You're identifying a specific community problem. And once you can get very clear on that problem, then you can start looking for money for that particular problem, instead of just Googling grants for childcare centers, because you're not going to get anything. But if it's grants for workforce development for single moms, or grants for workforce placement for senior citizens, or vets, or active military wives, or like something, you know what I mean? Once you get real clear on the group of people you want to help, it's a lot easier to find that money. And then brainstorm niche services. Like if you were really looking to grow your business and you've kind of tapped out on what you're already doing, finding those niche services, whether it's bilingual education or STEM activities or after school academics, things like that, or you want to partner up with mental health, or maybe get like an OT, somebody in to kind of help with kids with going to the bathroom or handwriting, or like whatever it is. Just be thinking outside the box for some of those niche services. Start thinking about potential partners. Like even if you don't know the person's name yet, if you're like, I just need somebody to help me with senior citizens, like I need a connection, just write that down. You don't have to have a name or email or nothing yet. Just start making space for those people in your plan. Explore the diverse grants. So again, I'm looking on community development. I look at MSDE, but I'm looking at other places too. Create a networking plan. It's just something that you can stick to, whether it's going to in-person events, whether it's coming to things like this, because this still is a network connection, because you'll have, resources through Maryland Capital Enterprises. So you right now, tonight, you already have started working on your networking plan. And then set up a grant application schedule. Even if it's just 15 minutes in the morning while you're drinking your coffee and scrolling on something like Grant Watch, or, you just on Google and you just start looking and screenshotting things, just taking 15 minutes a day to set that kind of stuff up. And then maybe you do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you sit and look at all them and you put them on your calendar, or if you got somebody that can help you with something like that, just kind of setting up a schedule for yourself so that you can stick to it. And now I will take any questions.
Yeah, most of the questions that I've had, they were related to whether or not MCE, what particular counties, that we do service. And I've taken a list of the ones that have asked me for, their specific county that we don't service, and I'll get the information to each of those. But the only other question I see here is, back when you were talking about there was a link, and somebody, see, Daniela said, can we get the link in the chat, please?
For the micro grant?
I think that's what it was, yeah.
Okay.
And there
Sorry.
were several people wanted that, so.
Yeah, no problem. I don't know what I did on my I'm trying to be able to send it to all people. It's only letting me send it to Marquita. How do I make it so it's everybody? I feel so old right now. What do I need to do?
Put
Mm,
all the for everybody, but it's on it gives you the option once you go. You probably put just for her. So let me.
I didn't even type anything. I don't know how her name.
When you go to your where are you trying to put it in the chat?
Yes.
Okay, so where it says right,
Uh-huh.
meeting group chat, there's a drop down. Click on that. Well, where it says Marquita.
Meeting group chat. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Okay, someone asked about grants without paying a monthly subscription. So grant.gov is like the government grant website. You do need to make an account for that, and it's something that does take a few weeks. It's free, but it's not super user friendly. And what I mean by that is you put in all your things that you want. I'm in Maryland. I want small business. I want workforce development, right? And I click it, and it gives me all of these things. And let's say I click on the third one and I don't like it. So I go back to look at the whole list. It clears it out every time. So I'm not a fan of it. It's good for when you need to apply, because those government grants, you will need to go in through grant.gov to even submit the application. So I use GrantWatch. GrantWatch is $45 a month. And I know people don't want to pay for it, but if you could get 50 grand out of it in the course of a year, would it be worth the $45? I mean, I'm just tossing that out there. But the state stuff doesn't cost. It's like you just get on their email list, when you get those emails. Like I got that email, but actually I think somebody posted about that on Facebook. That's where I got that micro grant from. But then I think I saw it later in a community and housing email. So getting on those newsletters with the different agencies, even if you think you're like, why would I even get on that? Get on it. Get on the veteran affairs. Get on the women-owned business stuff. Like, you could be missing out a ton of money in your emails.
Hi, what was the $45 one? What was the name of that one?
It's called GrantWatch. I'll put it in the chat. And if you just want to use it 1 month, you know what I mean? Just like take 1 month, because whatever you find probably isn't due for the next couple of months. So pay for 1 month, download everything that you want, all the PDFs and everything, the websites, do all that, and then just cancel it. And then, because you don't need it to apply. You need the grant.gov, and I'll put that in here, grant.gov to apply. But that one's free. You'll need an account. But it's just not super user friendly, and I don't have the attention span to deal with grant.gov as a search engine. Yeah, somebody was asking about ChatGPT. Yeah, ChatGPT. Yeah. And Otter, OTTER. That was the one that I use, and I'll literally pull up a grant application and I'll just kind of talk myself through it. And ChatGPT really helps me kind of like put it all in a nice outline.
Hi again, this is Indira. I have a question
Sure.
about first steps. So I too am a special education teacher by trade. I opened up my daycare, a home
Yes.
daycare for children with special needs. So I'm like over here getting chills. Sorry, everybody, but I'm having a moment with Dr. Amy. So I was getting chills because
Yay.
a lot of what you were saying is what I want to do, but I feel overwhelmed. So I'm not sure if anyone else feels overwhelmed. Just looking for grants, like you said, is overwhelming.
Mhm.
What would you say for those of us who want to expand, especially from a home daycare to a center? What would be the first thing that we need to think about before we even start thinking about grants? Like what should we really be focusing?
Yep. So for you, Andrea, I would be looking at those community partnerships. And it
Okay.
could be something as simple as calling around to, if you have any, I don't know where you're located, but calling around and just finding some pediatricians in the area, mental health that focuses on youth and families. Going up there one day, maybe if you can, when you get off, I don't know if you're able to go out, but be able to just collect some of their literature and just start making those just organic relationships with them. And that would
Okay.
just, one, it would establish you with your families as the, okay, I know I can go to her for things more than just daycare. She gave me a referral. She gave me phone numbers. I have parents that the preschool process, especially the ones that and where English isn't their native language, they come to me and they're just like, Miss Amy, I don't know, pre-K, do I send my kid? I don't know. Like, I mean, just helping them navigate that piece. So it's doing two things. One, it's helping you like reach out into the community and really find out what's there. The health department is another good one too. Just to be on all of their radar as well. So if the person at the health department, now the health department can't officially like advertise you, but that's not to say they can't have your business card laying around in somebody's office.
Okay. But so when I'm thinking of expansion, I'm thinking like a new building, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even if at this point, how I'm feeling, even if I make all these connections, the problem I'm having now, there's more special needs babies than I can handle in my home. So in terms of funding, do I need to like get this awesome business plan that I've been avoiding all these years? Is that like the first thing I need to get the physical building, or, you know, outside of what you're saying definitely seems valuable, but I'm wondering, would those connections help me to get a building, or is that something totally separate that I need to be worried about?
Yes and no. So they can help you if you are getting some type of community funding to offer those services. As with me, with my therapeutic childcare center, they wanted letters of what clinics that I was already working with. They wanted resumes of people that I was already working with to get that money. That was part of my application.
Got it.
For the business piece, Maryland Capital Enterprises is the people you want to talk to, because they're going to start talking with you about your personal credit, how that's going to leverage with your business credit, and getting your money stuff ready to get a building. Now, in the meantime, if you're like, you want to grow your in-home, I would suggest looking into that workforce development stuff, because you are a master teacher, I'm certain, if you were a school teacher, which means you could become an apprentice. I mean, like an apprenticeship program in your program, I believe, because of your credentials. So you can have somebody come work with you to help support the additional needs, and this person could grow with you as you move. Because that's the other piece. As we expand, I'm like, I need people. You know what I mean? So but that's a capital money thing that you would talk with them about running the business piece. But they can kind of go hand in hand, where like my therapeutic childcare grant, it's not capital money for me to grow, but it's giving me more money to hire more aides and more behavior staff.
Got it.
Now help us grow into a bigger building.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. Oh, Haley, great. Yep. Yeah, if you guys meet those criteria, I definitely would apply.
It was just so much information, and it was good too. I am in the process of expanding I was a child care center for years, and now I am expanding to a large child care center. And the thing that really the children that really comes into my child care, I get a lot of children that has speech delays and behavioral problems. And I basically need help inside my child care. And I actually got a loan through MCE. And with that loan, I built another classroom. And then, several months later, I built another classroom inside my home.
Okay.
And so that process, but it's just so much. I need a teacher because I want to do a preschool. I need speech therapists coming in. It's just a lot. What would be your suggestion as to where would I start with that?
So for pre-K, have you looked into the pre-K expansion grant?
I plan on looking into it after I get approved through the zoning process. So right
Okay.
now I have started yesterday the zoning process.
Okay.
And then after all of that, I do plan on looking into the pre-K grants. But when you was talking, I said it's so much more out there that I can be getting to
Mhm.
actually pay for the help and everything.
Yep. Yep. Well, one, I wouldn't wait until zoning is done. Go on and start looking at it now, because there might be a partnership, especially Judy Center. Remember, I was talking about them earlier. You don't want to have these cold calls and rushing and being like this awkward conversation of like, well, can I get something in writing that we have a partnership? We don't want that. That's weird. Go ahead and start now. Because I mean, what's the worst happens? You get more information.
Right.
But and then the next thing is I would do the same thing and look into having an apprenticeship program. Now, again, you're not going to get free help, but you could get, there's tax breaks, and then you could apply for other grants that are very targeted and specific to help you maybe with wages, or at least help pay for their classes, so that you're able to recruit people. And then you say, hey, you know, if we'll pay for your classes because you're going to get money for that, right? So it's not going to cost you anything. But you got to stay with us for 2 years. And they, you know, they sign a contract with you. So it would just kind of help grow your workforce, that people are being trained the way you want them trained. And, you know, especially, you know, young kids or young moms or whatever that are looking. We've hired several of our daycare moms that were working at nursing homes and things like that. I know they come to work every day and I know they got consistent childcare. So I'm pulling them aside. Hey, because I got one right now. I'm really about to pull her aside and tell her about our apprenticeship program. She's been with us since we've opened. She works third shift. And I'm gonna see if she wants a job, you know, so that's too. And then also we when we go to those Chamber of Commerce meetings, the education committees, and working with the schools, I'm in there doing career talks with the high school. I'm in there doing career fairs. I'm making connections with the guidance counselors. And when she's got kids that want jobs, they're calling us up. I got kids sending me resumes. And even if it's just for a couple hours after school, or you get a senior that's going half day, or you got a senior who's going virtual. So I have a senior right now. She works from 4 to 12. She's 18. So I don't have to necessarily have to let her leave too early. But you know, she's finishing up her senior year, and she works for us a couple days after school. But we got her from going to a career fair at a high school. So yeah, because I'm kind of over adults that don't want to work. I'm just gonna go to the high school and raise them and get them that way, to see how I can be part of the solution instead of just sitting back and complaining.
And another thing that you had mentioned that I was really going to look into was the seniors.
Yeah.
The seniors coming in to help. That really hit home for me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so what kind of grants can I look into for that? As far as the seniors, as well as the speech therapists, and it was another one. I'm sorry, I'm really nervous. The seniors, the speech therapists, and the partnerships with the children.
Clarify that last one for me. What do you mean, partnerships?
The internship partnerships. You know, when I want to do internships with the children.
Okay, like high school kids coming in and interning?
Yeah. With the 2-year contract that she was talking about.
Oh, okay, all right. So the first question you asked was about seniors, right?
Yes.
So I would look in your local Department of Aging. They might be the first Department of Aging.
Okay.
And I would start there. That is not my forte, so I don't know any specifics, but I do know that they're a vulnerable population, and vulnerable populations typically come with federal money that trickles down to state money. And if it's about helping seniors that are on the verge of homelessness, or, you know, working a bunch of hours on their feet all day, if they could just come and rock some babies, you know what I mean? Like they can still be part of your staff. They can be paid, and it's not like so taxing on them. But then there's also getting them in as volunteers. Now that doesn't count towards your ratio, but it's nice to have another set of hands, you know, in there. So that might also be something, and maybe reach out to some of the maybe assisted living, maybe not nursing home, but assisted living where they're just, you know, they're living, they got their own little apartment and stuff, and they're just maybe looking for something to do a few hours a day. That might be something also. And then again, that's a network connection. And so when you go to apply for that grant funding through say the Department of Labor or the Department of Aging, you say, hey, look, I've been working with these 2 nursing homes or these 2 assisted living homes for 6 months. We've had 5 different volunteers. Like you know what I mean? Like you're already starting to kind of build a track record for that vulnerable, that population of folks. Okay. And then as a business, you know, having your kids make Christmas cards and birthday cards and just ways that you guys can have a good relationship so that they will vouch for you. So when it comes time and they say, hey, we need letters of support from the community or those memorandums of understanding, those MOUs, you have no problem calling the nursing home because they know you. You've been working with them. You've been kids have been coming and doing Christmas carols. You guys have been recording it, sending it over to the nursing home, like whatever it is. You've been doing that. The second question you asked was about the speech and language. So with us, we were able to bring in a therapist because our grant, I wrote it into the grant. So I pay her a flat rate and she comes and works with the kids. Another option is, and that would probably be the easiest for it to, like, if you want her to come to your center. But I would start by having those resources where if parents are interested in getting speech therapy, sending them to the speech therapist. Because over time, what can happen if she's seeing 5 of your kids, it might just be easier for her to come and see them at your center. And then you get her on your roster as a volunteer, you know, clear her through background check and everything so she could be at your center, but that she could be doing that. And that's what we did. Our music therapist, I pay her. Now, we also have her brochure. So if parents want to use her and they want to do something on the side. So that's how we did it. I have a friend of mine in Georgia. She started it from the therapy aspect of it and then added the childcare service. So she had a behavior therapist. So her daycare parents can go there and use that. Community can come and use it. So there's a couple different ways about the speech, but at least reaching out and finding a couple and getting to know them, you know, who might be the best fit. And you never know, because the speech therapist may find a grant that they, you know, like one of the therapists we're working with, she writes grants and it was to offer behavior assessments to under the age of 5. So she needs my kids, like, you know what I mean? So she needs kids to do assessments on. So it's just a perfect partnership. So, but again, that goes back to making those connections, because she's literally in the next parking lot over. She didn't even know we were there. And we've been there for 6 years. So the power of networking. And then
I had therapists, I had a speech therapist. I always have different speech therapists coming to the child care for my infants and toddlers, but that be through, you know, different agencies like the Kennedy Krieger that specializes in infants and toddlers.
Yeah, and they also are a therapeutic child care center, so they have all that stuff there too. But yeah, find one, especially if it's like a like the therapist we're using, it's her and her team. So it's not a big Kennedy Krieger, it's just a local lady that I met. And shop around, because the first one might not be somebody you want to work with. Just saying that too. You know, you never know. Might not be a good fit. And then the last question you asked was about the 2-year contracts. So that's back with the apprenticeships. So that came through the Department of Labor. So if you go onto the Maryland Department of Labor website and just kind of Google around for apprenticeships, they'll probably give you like a directory, and you'll find what county you're in and find your navigator and email them. My experience with my navigator was fantastic. Like I said, she did a lot of stuff for me. And because it wasn't like we were making up a CDA, like there's already a CDA process. It really was just about her filling out paperwork for me, put a couple signatures and, you know, show up to a hearing. It was pretty easy to do.
Okay, because I have my CDA as well, so it should be for me too.
Yep. And you can only take 1 per teacher, so you'd only be able to take 1 at a time, but so what? You know what I mean? Like as you grow, you have more teachers, you can have an apprentice per teacher, per master teacher. And a master teacher is somebody that has I think it's a certain amount of years of experience, but then also has all of their
qualifications.
Yeah, all their qualifications. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
course, yeah. Anybody else? Is there a printout of the slideshow? I can send it. I don't know, Mr. Marvin, did it go to, did Lisa get a copy of the PowerPoint? Do you know?
She didn't mention it, but if she did, I can send it to
Okay,
everybody.
if not, I'll
Yeah.
get it to you either tonight or tomorrow, whenever
Yeah,
you guys
that's-
send it
yeah,
out. That's not a problem.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing all this great
Of
information.
course. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Just have a question. So I in the process of trying to open my own childcare center. I think I came in a little later. I don't know if you had talked about it, but I just wanted to know what are some ways to go about getting grants to start off with that. I have some really good ideas that I plan to implement once I open my center, but I'm kind of in the beginning stages, trying to find a building, trying to find space, and just trying to find some more information.
Yep. So we talked about it very briefly, but startup costs and operating expenses are probably not going to be something you can get with a grant. This micro grant that I was showing, that's for businesses that are already existing. So you might find those type of grants and they're going to want a business that's already been open for a couple years and has money coming in the door. So that's where Maryland Capital Enterprises, the people who are hosting this tonight, they're a great resource and they can help you with the building piece. Grants are more for that problem, that social problem or community-based problem that we're trying to solve, not necessarily operating costs. So I don't know if I hope that answered your question.
Yes, that day. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
yep, of course.
Hi, Amy. Wait a minute. So, I'm in Salisbury.
Oh,
I've seen your childcare center. It's all so, but I would love to network with you.
yeah,
To
absolutely.
let me turn my camera on so that we can sit and talk. Because some of the information you talked about, I hadn't heard about, but some I had, but I just didn't know how to go about obtaining the information.
Yeah,
So I would love to give you a call.
sure.
At We Watch Childcare and see if we can network and see what there is that we could work together on.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, I'll put my information in the chat.
Okay, great. I'll shoot you an email.
All right,
Good.
thank you.
Yep. And then everybody's asking for the PowerPoint. I'm gonna get it to Maryland Capital Enterprises, and then they're gonna send it out with this training, so everybody will get it.
Yep.
Can I also put my information in the chat as well so you can give me a call?
Okay. Actually, what I'll do is I will give my email over with the PowerPoint, and then Mr. Martin, is that okay? You just send my email out, and if anybody wants
Sure.
to just chat, that'll work.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can do that.
Kimberly had a good thing. She was saying that this is great for parents who aren't fully on board on having their child diagnosed. Yes, because especially if you have those kids for a couple of years, like we become like we're partners in this parenting thing with them, especially my single moms. And like they are looking to us for like that, like go ahead. One of the parents I was sharing about, the one that was like climbing out of the back seat and trying to punch his mom, like she's hearing from her family and her friends, oh, you work too much. He's acting up because it's your fault. I, Amy, as the educator, professional, and advocate for mom, I'm not going to tell her that because it's not true. I'm going to give her resources to help her feel like she's not losing her mind, that she's not a bad mom. Her child needs some supports. So yes, so they might not want to hear it from the doctor, and then they're not getting the support from home. They're hearing a lot of the kid's acting up because of you're a bad mom, you're terrible. Like we could be that person that's like, no, mom, you're not crazy. And here's 5 pamphlets, or here's a pediatrician, or here's a mental health person, or we have music therapy lady that comes on Wednesdays, and we'll make sure to say something to her about it when she comes on Wednesdays. Maybe she can give us some insight, whatever. But yeah, like parents, I feel like they trust us because we have the kids for so long.
Amy, I got just one question, and it might be a little bit off the wall. Now,
Okay.
what if you created a wonderful partnership program with us and teach us every step of the way? Can you write a grant up for that?
Well, we are having another, this is probably my 3rd training with Maryland Capital Enterprises, and I do try to
Okay.
post it on the Tuesday tidbits. So this definitely won't be the last one. So just pop on in, and like I said,
Okay.
you'll have my email out. So if, we will set up another one.
All right, thank you.
And if
I
you
know
guys-
it's one next
Yeah. And
Tuesday.
when we chat, and when they send out, do you guys send out a survey right at the end? Mr.
Yes, we
Wyman?
do.
Okay, make sure you guys put in there like other things you want to hear about. Like, so if it's like, oh, I want to talk more about how Amy was like using all these tools to write the grants, or like I want to hear how she was able to find money from the Department of Labor, like be real detailed, so then I can get that information from Lisa at Maryland Capital Enterprises, and we can start having some more. And like I said, I typically put them on Tuesday tidbits as soon as we have the link from Maryland Capital Enterprises, and we can do this again.
Okay, because I had no idea all those GITs and all that other stuff, you know.
Right.
But I know this sound like it would really help me out. I'm gonna put myself on mute so somebody else can talk now.
Okay.
Hi, I just had a quick question. Thank you for this information as well, by the way. Will the webinar on the 9th be the same information?
So that one is, I think we're talking, what is that one called? I'm sorry.
The government, say,
Is that the government contract one?
it's a government contract.
Yeah. So some of the information, it's just going to be with the lens of government contracts. And so we'll be talking about networking and big scale planning and things like that, but it'll be more of the government contract stuff.
Thank you.
Oh, of course.
Amy, hi, this is Chantel.
Hello.
I've been doing daycare over 30 years. I started with Celebrate Learning Center, and I wanted to ask the question now. I'm a travel agent also. So I wanted to know how I could implement this. Well, I've got a few providers that do travel with their parents and myself.
Yeah.
And getting in travel, and also I'm a distributor. So anyone that's looking to get their own travel website, you know, to travel, how would I also get that as a, you know, put that as far as the daycare and the travel, if that makes any sense?
Yeah. So you're saying that some of the daycare parents already travel with you to places?
Yeah, especially like the summertime, you know, when they're off for the summer and they don't have anything to do with their kids. I normally have a trip already set up before the school year ends.
Yeah.
Right. So right now I'm thinking to do Nickelodeon in Punta Cana for the kids. And that way, you know, their parents are with them. They're not just with you.
Right.
We love the kids, but we need a break too.
Right.
But that also where you don't have any, you know, you don't have to take all of your vacation. They're vacationing with you. So I'm trying to get that up and going. Like I said, I do have providers that have joined, and like we're on this network, and anybody that's interested, you're more than welcome to come on board. The more the merrier, you know, but you know, we all need vacations.
Yeah.
Because we're stressed with the kids, and we really don't make a lot in childcare. You have to really have a heart for it, you know. But that was my question. You know, what else can I do, or am I doing enough? Because, like I said, I go to some of the conferences and I give out my cards and stuff, and I have networked with a lot of providers, and a lot of providers now have their own travel website because you make a commission of 70 to 80% off of all your travel.
Okay.
You know, so right now, anybody listening, January 10th through the 12th, I got a winter getaway for us ladies to just get together and just network.
Yeah. So my suggestion would be one, consider hosting your own conference, like just a mini conference. They're coming with you anyway. Other providers are coming with you anyway. Maybe set up a training.
Okay.
So it's not just a vacation for the providers, like it's a work trip because we're coming down
Right.
here for a daycare conference. Or
Right.
if you have that mental health provider, you have that community partnership that you've been partnering with that person, maybe they come, you know, and it's a parenting
Right.
trip, you know? So there's definitely other like niche type things that you could do for your families. Mom
Right.
getaway, stuff like that, and then have somebody that can talk to your single moms or pour into your single fathers, or like any of those problems that you're seeing, you could custom a trip. And the whole goal of that trip is for them to go away and you connect them with resources to help maybe solve a problem. The other piece is another area you could go with it is possibly like the financial literacy aspect of it. Because I, you know, budget, like we have a lot of parents that are just literally paycheck to paycheck and they're waiting for that one piece, the energy assistance and the Section 8 and the food stamps. Like they're waiting, like
Yeah.
have enough money to the thought of a vacation is just, you know, so teaching them, whether it's you're putting out a monthly blog or a weekly blog to your parents about the importance of like taking family vacations and stepping away from the screen and how this is building memories and it's building generational happiness, because the kids are going to remember going on these awesome trips, and then they're going to take their kids and they're going to prioritize family time and bonding and all of that stuff. And it doesn't need to be a $5,000 weekend in a Disney.
Right.
Like it can be a camping trip. It can be small things, and you can kind of scale with families about like, yes, they can come on this big trip with you, but then also maybe have something local at a campground or something. And you may not make money off that, but if the goal is to get them to travel and to have these awesome family experiences, that might be an option. But if you're looking at the financial literacy piece of it, down the road, that might be a nonprofit avenue you want to take, where you actually are teaching parents about planning and prioritizing for those things, and that little simple changes. Let's say we're going to get rid of all of our streaming services and use the free streaming service that they have at the library. It's called Hoopla. I use it. You get it free with your library card. Just being able to coach parents on simple changes that maybe could save you $50 a month, and $50 a month
Right.
at the end of the year, $600, like $600. That's a weekend somewhere for you and your
Right.
kids at a budget hotel. But that maybe could be an avenue for it. So it's not just about, you know, you making the commission or trying to recruit other
Right.
travel
And
agents. Really
that's
are
what I
trying to have teach these parents that the value of that R&R and that family time.
and that's what I've also told them as well. You know, traveling isn't a lot. You know, you just budget and find something that's going to work in your budget, you know, and make a trip. You plan ahead of time, you know, you can save a lot of money. So this is some of the things that I go over. And then sometime if we raise enough money, we'll send parents on a trip. You know, I have given 2 days, 3 days hotel getaways. So that comes out of my pocket. So it's not always, you know, making a profit, because I was that parent, single parent, and didn't know anything about travel, you know, but now I know a lot. You know, so that's what I just wanted to ask you on that aspect. And I thank you for this training, Amy. You are a blessing, and continue to let God use you to
Thank you.
help others, because, you know, a lot of people would have asked you to pay for this, you know,
And
and you didn't do that. So
No,
I thank you.
of course, of course. Anybody else? Okay.
Nobody else?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, I have a question. My name is Roberta, and the avenue I'm trying to go or explore is maybe buying like old houses around the city and fix it up and turn it into my daycare center.
Okay.
So, is there any grants that will help me with that? And what I saw, it sounds like it's a lot of grants, to buy old properties and fix them up and turn your neighborhood back into a good,
That's
good
exactly
area.
where I would start. But I also would, wherever before you even decide to even put any money down or anything, contact your office of childcare and make sure that you can actually have a daycare in that area, because not every place is zoned for daycare.
Okay.
Yeah, and making sure you have like backyard space and enough toilets and things like that. Yeah. But yeah,
Okay.
that's where I would start. Like start with Office of Childcare. But if you're looking to purchase old houses and that's the plan, or even like downtown revitalization money, there might be something like that too. But again, you want to make sure that you're even allowed to have a daycare in that facility or in that.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Of course.
Hey, everybody. I don't know how to raise my hand, so forgive me. I was trying to figure out how to do it, but I can't figure it out.
Okay.
All right, but I just wanted to talk to just wanted to tell Chantel that I had sent her a message. I'm a travel agent too, so I think we could probably help each other out. So that's what we're here for, right? Networking. So I just wanted to let Chantel know I sent her my information.
All right. Kimberly?
Yes. I forgot to set a reminder for this webinar, which sounds awesome. Will you be running this webinar again, even if it's in the web?
I don't know, but it's been recorded and you'll get a hold for the whole recording.
Okay, thanks.
Somebody asked, I am so sorry, I'm not even gonna try to mispronounce your name, but we own a family daycare with this grant, Help Family Daycare. The Maryland micro grant, if you have $50,000 coming in for the year, then I would apply. But if not, then it's not for you.
Thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Thank you. All right, I think that might be it.
Anybody else?
Can I ask you one quick question? I'm sorry.
Sure. No, you're fine.
Is it okay if I connect with you? Because I had a couple more questions and things I wanted to ask you to be okay to explore.
Yep,
As far
that's
as
not a problem. I'm gonna include my email in with the PowerPoint, and then you guys just shoot me email. Just when you email me, put it in a subject line that it was from this training.
Okay, that's fine.
Some random.
Okay.
Oh, are you guys gonna send the grant list?
I don't have a grant list,
Okay.
so no.
Okay.
Good night.
All right, good
Anybody
night.
else?
I think that might be it.
Thank you, Amy. It was
Thank you,
a
Amy.
lot of information.
Thank
All right,
you.
y'all
Amy.
have a good night. Good luck with
You
everything.
too. Thank you.
You too.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to clarify, you will be sending out for the information for the other counties through that same email? Because I'm in Georges County. I don't think you mentioned.
Yeah, I think what I'll do, I think I've got your name down, and if you ask me in the chat, I'll send it to you personally, and that way
Okay,
you won't have to search.
perfect. Thank you so much again.
You're welcome.
All right, and Amy, I'll try not to stalk you.
No, yeah. No, stop. It's okay. Okay. All right.
Thank you,
Y'all have a
Amy.
good night.
Thank you.
Yep. And I'll shoot you an email right now when we get off the call.
Good
Y'all have
night,
a good
everyone.
Bye-bye.